Hey girls, and welcome back to Talks Hair for the Naturalistas. Now I just want to let you guys know this is my natural hair. If you've seen the previous two episodes I released, the first one I was wearing natural hair extensions. Second one I was wearing twists, and the third one I'm wearing twist out. This is the proper demonstration of what I've been talking about, the hair cycle. I mentioned it very briefly in my first episode, but I'm gonna deep dive into it more in this episode as I'm going to be talking about length retention, girls. So, I just want to let you know the reason why your hair isn't growing isn't necessarily the products that you're using. Yes, the products do matter, but also the technique matters too. A lot of the girls don't have the technique to retain length. So there's a skill gap when it comes to growing natural, long, and healthy hair. Okay, and I want to get into that. So when we're talking about the technique, I mean, what are you doing to make sure that your hair isn't losing its length? As I talked about before, your hair is always growing, okay? As long as you're leaving, no matter what race you are, your hair is growing, babe. So don't even worry about that. As long as you have a good scalp environment, your hair is growing and it's growing well. So when I'm talking about the technique, I'm going to break it down very slowly. First, how are you detangling your hair? Second of all, how are you shampooing your hair? Third of all, how are you protecting your hair? So let me start from the beginning, shampooing. A lot of us like to shampoo our hair loose, and as much as that is, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it is inefficient when it comes to length retention, because when you're shampooing your hair, your hand motion is creating tangles within your hair, which means when there is tangles, your hair is more prone to breakage. So when you are shampooing your hair, you have to look into reducing the breakage. A really good way to do this is twisting up your hair into big twists, then going to shampoo. It reduces the possibility of your hair creating tangles in the shower, therefore reducing the possibility of your hair breaking. Also, before you shampoo, this is called pre-poo, you should be detangling your hair. And please detangle with your hands. Okay? If you're following me on TikTok and on Instagram, you know that I've abandoned literally using combs. I don't comb my hair. But if you do, that's okay. That's fine. It's just that sometimes a lot of the length that you're losing goes to your comb, so you're overcombing your hair. So you have to reduce the amount of times you're combing your hair at the very bare minimum. So before you go and shampoo your hair, when you're pre-pooing, do detangle your hair with your hands. That's called finger detangling if you're not aware of it, and it's very, very efficient. And you can use pre-poo products to do so, but I think this is gonna be very controversial, but that's all marketing. You can just use a regular conditioner to pre-poo your hair before you enter the shower. But if you are a babe who loves multiple products, of course, get yourself a pre-poo and get into it. But if you don't, you can just use your conditioner to detangle your hair, or water and oil, whatever works for you. Just make sure you spray water into your hair. Use something that is lubricates your hair so you can untangle your hair. But I will dive into the also I will dive into like more about products, the unnecessary products and all that, and how to reduce your wash time and your wash day on a later episode. But let me focus on length retention. So for shampooing, before shampooing, detangle your hair, put it up in twists, and then go shampoo your hair. All right. Second thing is detangling. A lot of the girlies are losing their hair to the combs. Okay? The combs are ripping your hair out. They're literally ripping your hair out. I would advise personally to reduce the amount of times you use combs, like how I said, utilize finger detangling. But if you're like, no, Parvin, I can't do that, that's okay. I'm gonna give you some tips to detangle your hair less less aggressively, because a lot of you guys are detangling your hair like you're in the WWE. Relax. Relax. You don't have to be fighting with your hair. You actually don't have to be fighting with your hair. I'm letting you know right now. Anyways. So, so, first tip. Don't detangle your hair if you're hungry or angry. Don't do it. You're gonna start fighting with it, babe. Don't do it. I know this is such an unusual tip to give, but if you're hungry, if you're angry, if you're in a bad mood, if you're sad, don't detangle your hair. Just let it be. Okay? Because you're gonna start pulling and tugging, getting frustrated. You don't need to do all that. You should be detangling your hair when you're at peace. Okay? When you're feeling very happy, very jolly, or you're neutral. That's when you should be detangling your hair. Secondly, please use water. Don't detangle your hair without water. Use water and use a very slippery if you're gonna use a conditioner to detangle your hair after shampooing, you're probably gonna use either a detangler or a leave-in conditioner, which is very very slippery, and I'm actually gonna get into that. I personally advise to just use a leave-in conditioner that is very slippery to detangle your hair. So yeah, use a wide tooth comb to detangle your hair. Don't use very like narrow, thin tooth combs because that's just gonna be painful. So do that. Also, section your hair. Section your hair. Don't like comb your hair all together because you're rushing. Don't do that. If you're in a rush, don't. It's not the time to detangle your hair. Just let it go. Okay. There's let it go. Let it go. Just detangle your hair. Slow and steady. Be gentle with your hair. Okay. Make sure it is hydrated. Make sure it is moisturized, and that's when you can start detangling your hair with a white tooth comb if you're really into combs. And yeah, that ensures that you don't have as much breakage as you would if you were like pulling and tugging on your hair, and you don't lose your length. Okay? All the length that you've acquired from your hair beforehand will most likely not all be gone. So, let's go to protective styles. Now, I believe there's a lot of protective styles out there that are not that protective. Okay, one of them are braids. Yeah, braids with extensions. I I want the girls to have fun with their hair, okay? Having long natural hair, long natural healthy key point hair, even if it's not long, just healthy hair can be fun. You don't have to always be doing twists, even though they're the most, in my opinion, the most efficient and best protective styles for natural hair, like twists without extensions. You can always experiment with extensions and all of that. I love experimenting with my hair, so I'm never gonna sit here and be like, don't do braids, don't do braids. But I am going to advise that there are certain hairstyles that you should do more of. In my personal opinion, I love twists. I love twists. They are so good at protecting and actually protecting your hair. The thing with extensions, right? Especially when it comes to braids and signalese twists and stuff like that, added extensions, is one, they tend to be heavy on your hair, so the tension pulling on your hair, you can get traction alopecia, girl. I'm not even gonna lie. You probably might get traction alopecia. Ooh. Whew. Anyways, if you're not careful with the braids, a lot of the people who the hairstylists do really pull on braids, so I mean, if you're lucky and you have a hairstylist who doesn't really tug on your hair that much when they're braiding your hair, that's fantastic. But for the most part, they do. And even if they don't, the hair extensions weigh your hair down. So you might have to relax on it a bit. Like, I'm not saying don't do it completely, okay? I'm just saying you have to be taking breaks. You can't, I actually have personal beef with braids, personally. I don't do braids too much. So, yeah, added extensions, they're not the most protective hairstyle, right? The only extensions that, in my opinion, can be protective are, you guessed it, you guessed it, extensions that mimic kinky hair extensions, right? And I'm gonna get into that a little bit for a bit more into the video, but let me stick onto the extensions. So they weigh your hair down, there's too much tension, and third thing is a lot of the babes neglect their hair when they do protective styles, and that's the truth. Like, yeah, sure, the extensions, they be doing that, but you also don't spray your hair with water. You don't put anything on it when you do the braids for 3 months. Your hair is thirsty for a whole entire 3 months, and you expect it to grow. I mean, it will grow, but you expect to retain length. That's why when you remove your braids, you're confused because you see 2 inches have grown on your scalp, but you remove and your hair is shorter by 2 inches. Now we're all confused. It's because you're not spraying anything onto your hair. At most, the babes are just putting really greasy stuff on their scalp so it doesn't look like it has dandruff. And gel. If you're gonna do braids, if you're gonna do micro whatever, which I personally am not a big fan of, but if you're gonna do them, make sure or hope that your hairstylist isn't very heavy-handed, and please, on like every 3 days, spray some water, put some leave-in conditioner in your hair so your hair isn't thirsty the whole entire time. Okay? Pro tip. Also, when it comes to the takedown of these hairstyles, and that's the reason why I don't like them, the takedown is where most of your hair is going. You've done mini braids for 3 months. You have 4C hair. You've put in those mini braids for 3 whole entire months. And if you have 4C hair, you already know it mats up after a certain period of time, okay? And it's beautiful, okay? But then you proceed to not apply any sort of lubrication when you're undoing your braids. Girl, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. The comb is snatching your hair away. Don't undo your braids when they are dry. Don't do that. Don't do that. Use water and a conditioner. Spray them into your hair. Okay? And then undo your hair. Don't the number one rule when it comes to natural hair, just don't do things when it's dry. Just remember that. Anything you're doing, if you want to retain length, don't do it dry. You're cutting your hair, you're tearing your hair. So when you're taking down your braids, babe, remember to take some water, put some conditioner in your hair, massage it in, then undo your hair. Okay? And when you're undoing your hair, again, don't be angry, don't be in a rush, don't be hungry. Because you will tear your hair away. So yeah, those are basically the techniques. And I know it does sound like a lot, but it's really not. Like, when you get into the rhythm of things, it's very simple. I will try to make a video about how like I do all these things, because I'm gonna be washing my hair, I believe, today. But trust me, it is not hard whatsoever. The literal next episode, I'm going to be talking about, like, products to use and stuff like that. Not necessarily specific product recommendations, but what you should really be using, because the natural hair market is extremely oversaturated. There's so many products you don't really have to use. And there's so many products that have different names and work the same exact way. So I'm gonna let you guys know on that. But I want to talk about extensions. So as much as I have beef with extensions, I don't have beef with natural hair extensions that mimic natural hair. And this is why. So like I mentioned before, I utilize the hair cycle, which my hair cycle is I do extensions for 1 month. For 2 weeks, I do natural hair twists. For 2 more weeks, I do a twist out, and I go back to the natural hair extensions, and that's my cycle. That's the cycle I've created for myself. Of course, you can adjust it to however you like. I personally only do kinky hair extensions for the most part, and wear my hair out because I love my hair. But the reason why I'm in favor of natural hair extensions as a protective hairstyle is because I do natural hair extensions crochet, and the way the hair is set up, you can still spray down your hair when it is in those extensions. And kinky hair extensions are usually very receptive to to water, even if they're synthetic. So that's a plus. Also, it's very, very, very lightweight. Very lightweight. And on top of that, you look good and you feel good in your natural hair texture. So why wouldn't you do that? You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say? The only downside is the way crochet methods are made it's a bit of a toughie. It's a bit of a toughie when it comes to the takedown. You do have to be careful. You do have to be careful when you're taking the hair down. Again, don't be in a rush. Don't be hungry. Don't be angry when you're taking down your hair. This really applies to any type of extension hair. So you have to be very careful to not cut your hair or damage it in any type of way. Also, again, the confidence booster in your natural hairstyle, in your natural texture, chef's kiss. So that's why I love them. Apart from that, also Afro wigs. Listen, if you're like, I don't really want to put an actual extension in your head, you can invest in Afro wigs. They are fantastic. You can just do twists at the bottom and put on an Afro wig. And I'm just like, no, who's gonna know? Nobody's gonna know. So I absolutely love kinky hair extensions. I absolutely, absolutely love them. Okay? So yeah, that's the hair cycle. So the hair cycle is kinky hair extensions, twists, twist out, repeats. Okay? Of course, you can customize it to however you like, but I feel like that is literally the best way to ensure that you're not only confident in your natural hair, but you look fantastic while doing it, and you make sure your hair is healthy and retaining length. So that's all for this episode. I hope you guys watched it and liked it. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Yeah, I hope everything I said, no, I know everything I said made sense. And I know that you're gonna be implementing it, right, girl? Right? So, yeah, that's all for today. Stay tuned for more. I think this series has possibly, honestly, one more episode left. Because, again, natural hair isn't complicated at all. It is not hard to manage at all. There's so much information out there, but honestly, if you stick to the basics, you're gonna be fine. So, good luck. Bye bye.